Eric Halterman of RotoWire here with 6 players to pick up this week. It's a pretty rookie-heavy list this time around, starting with Hyeseong Kim of the Dodgers, who signed a 3-year deal out of Korea over the winter, but was optioned to start the season. Now, was that a case of regret by the Dodgers? I don't think so. It looks like it was an attempt to add a bit more power to his game, and if that's the case, it seems to be working. He hit 5 homers in 28 AAA games after topping out at 11 over in the KBO, but he also struck out 24% of the time after striking out just 11% of the time in his final season in Korea. Now, Kim was called up last Saturday and sat on the bench for a couple games, but then he started 3 in a row, twice at second base and once in center field. Now, before Kim was sent to the minors and made that apparent approach change, I viewed him more like, say, John Birdie, maybe somebody who could steal you 40 bases if he played every day, but that would come with single-digit homers, a mediocre enough batting line that he probably shouldn't be playing every day for a good team. And I still think that's probably who Hyeseong Kim will be, which means he'll fall back to a bench role once the Dodgers get fully healthy, most likely. But I'm intrigued to see if the Dodgers can get anything more out of him. Pretty good at player development over there. And there's enough speed to make Kim useful in deeper leagues, even if there's no change to his profile at the plate. Up next, we've got Dane Myers of the Marlins, who is a 29-year-old with just 66 Major League games under his belt prior to this season. He began the year as Miami's 4th outfielder, but he's earned more playing time with Derek Hill out with a wrist injury, and he's hit well enough that he deserves to keep playing even once Hill gets healthy. Shouldn't be too hard to find a spot to do that in a weak Marlins lineup. Now, Myers won't keep hitting 342 like he's doing as of recording. That comes with a 433 BABIP, but he is showing real improvements. At his current rate, he's tracking towards a 2040 season over the course of a full season. Now, I don't want to just prorate a hot streak and say that's who Myers is, but if he's on pace for 2040 right now, he can fall off a lot and still go, 1030 with a respectable batting average? I don't think I'd buy in on Myers if I didn't need speed, but you're looking at a potential 30 steal guy who isn't a total zero at the plate now that he's improved his contact ability. So it looks like Myers should at least be able to give you some speed and something elsewhere. Up next, we've got Josh Smith of the Rangers, who I think suffers from having a rather bland name to go along with his rather bland skill set. Smith doesn't have a ton of power. He doesn't have elite contact ability. He's not an elite defender. He's not that fast, but he doesn't really have any weaknesses. He does have some power. He does have some speed. He does have some contact, and he can play all over the diamond. Smith is often overlooked in addition to that bland skill set because he doesn't start the year on top of the depth chart at any one position. But since he plays all of them, he reached 592 plate appearances last year as a super utility guy, and he's 4th in the Rangers in plate appearances this season. It's likely to rise given that he's moved up to a leadoff role recently. Smith had been playing shortstop in place of Corey Seager when he was injured, and now he's playing first base in place of Jake Berger, who's been sent to the minors. Smith won't keep hitting 323 once his 392 BABIP wears off, but he does have an expected batting average of 288, so I think he should be a good source of batting average. And non-zero homers and steals, has 3 homers and 4 steals so far. You're not going to ever need Josh Smith, but he's not going to hurt you, and he's going to be eligible at middle infield, corner infield, and the outfield. A really nice player to have on the end of your roster in fantasy, just like he is in real life. I'll have more names for you in a minute. But first, I wanted to mention something new we've got at RotoWire this season, promo codes. You can use the promo code ROTO15 at checkout to receive 15% off any RotoWire product. Also, while we're here, those like and subscribe buttons are not 15% off, but I think they still work as well as normal. Let's move on over to the pitchers, where we've got Gunnar Hoglund, who was called up by the A's at the start of May and has made, I'd say, 1 great start and 1 fine one as of recording. Altogether, it's 10 strikeouts against 1 walk, a 2.38 ERA, and a 1.06 WHIP in 11 1/3 innings. Now, Hoglund was not an elite prospect, but he wasn't a non-prospect either. He went 19th overall in the 2021 draft while recovering from Tommy John surgery. But he didn't really look that good in the minors, posting a 4.10 ERA and 21% strikeout rate before this year. And it was fair to conclude that maybe he just wasn't the same guy after Tommy John surgery. That happens to a lot of prospects who flame out before they reach the majors. But this year, Hoglund got his strikeout rate up to 26% across 6 AAA starts. That came with a 2.43 ERA and a 1.04 whip. He's got a 6% walk rate throughout his time in the minors, so if he can miss more bats, maybe there is something here after all with Hoglund. We can't guarantee that he keeps his spot in the rotation once the A's get healthier, but there aren't many proven arms in this rotation, so if Hoglund pitches well, I think he sticks around. The next pitcher here, Ben Casparius of the Dodgers, has pitched really well this season. A 2.81 ERA, which is a near match for his 2.84 Sierra. Comes with a 1.05 whip, 27% strikeout rate against just a 5% walk rate. This is a really good pitcher whose fantasy value is unfortunately held back by his usage. He's only made 1 start, and it wasn't a real start. He was only asked to go 2 2/3 innings in that one. Now, Casparius has been used as a bulk guy or a follower or whatever you want to call it in his last 2 outings, and he picked up 2 wins. 1 earned run in 7 2/3 innings with 10 strikeouts. Now, I don't have too many doubts about his talent, even if he's maybe a bit over his head right now. Not sure I'd bet on an ERA below 3 continuing. But it's a good pitcher, and if we had faith in his role, he'd already be on a lot of teams. His value is unfortunately very league dependent because of those role questions. But hey, in some leagues where you care about the distinction between a starter and a reliever, Casparius could give you starters numbers from the RP slot, if that's something you're interested in. And I've said over and over that I want whoever's in the back of the Dodgers rotation because they're pretty much all good, and they all give you a great shot at wins for LA. And then you want to drop them for the next Dodgers 5th starter. Well, I think Casparius is that guy right now, even if his actual official role is murky, and even if he's going to be a bit hard to manage because he won't necessarily be listed as the expected starter until maybe the day before when we find out who's going to be the bulk guy. It's a difficult situation to manage, but if Casparius keeps pitching behind an opener, that's actually a boost to his value because he doesn't even need to go 5 innings to get a win. So I'm intrigued in the talent. I'm confused by the role, but I think I want him on my team anyway. Finally, let's end with Cade Horton, who was the 7th overall pick in the 2022 draft by the Cubs. He's had an up and down journey through the minors. Horton peaked inside the top 20 on the RotoWire top 400 prior to last season, but he fell all the way out of the top 150 after battling injuries for most of last year. Was shut down with a shoulder strain in May, then had a setback in August. He definitely still has major durability questions, as the pitcher who had Tommy John surgery back in college as well has yet to reach 90 innings in a season as a professional. But Horton has looked quite healthy to start this year. He's destroying AAA hitters. 1.24 ERA and an 0.86 whip through 6 starts, striking out 31% of opposing batters. Did have a 12% walk rate, which is a minor red flag here to go along with the major red flag of the durability questions. But assuming his MLB debut goes well on Saturday and he sticks around, I'm expecting some big bids on Horton. No guarantee he sticks around once Shota Imanaga gets over his hamstring strain, which is reportedly mild. But if Horton lives up to his potential, Colin Ray is definitely not going to be an obstacle. Even Ben Brown probably won't stand in his way. So be wary of those downsides in terms of control and durability with Horton, but pick him up anyway for the big strikeout upside. That'll do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments if you plan to pick up any of these guys, and check out the Saturday edition of the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, where Ryan Boyer and I go over waiver wire pickups every single week all season, except not this week. I'll be on vacation. It'll be Ryan and a special guest. So check that one out this Saturday on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast.